Although all animals deserve protection, it is evident that certain populations maintain better health than others. For instance, the overpopulation of hippos in Colombia signifies a particular imbalance in their respective regions. Conversely, there are species that are in dire need of assistance as they constantly face threats from both fellow animals and, regrettably, human beings. When Chinese customs authorities encountered an unusual shipping container at a port, suspicion arose. Unbeknownst to them, opening the container would escalate the situation significantly. The customs officials in Shenzhen, China, confronted a perplexing scenario when they singled out a suspicious cargo container that had arrived at Yanqing District's port. This container's unconventional arrival lacking proper paperwork was enough to trigger concern. Although they were informed that the container was empty, the officers from the Daping Customs Anti-Smuggling Branch were not convinced. It was evident that a thorough inspection of the interior was imperative. After breaking the container's lock, they immediately noticed it was densely packed with bags bearing blue and red stripes. Upon opening one of the bags, they discovered coal within. However, the secrecy surrounding these bags raised questions about their true contents. Intrigued, the investigating officers scrutinized the bags more closely. As they emptied each sack, an unforgettable stench, a nauseating scent of decay, permeated the air. Prior to delving further, the investigators sought to ensure their own safety and health. Quarantine officers were called in to oversee the process of unpacking the remaining sacks. What they uncovered left them deeply disturbed. The contents of the bags were astonishing, prompting the investigators to promptly disclose their findings to the public. Our initial examination confirmed that these were pangolin scales, reported the officials. In total, the bags contained a staggering 13.1 tons of pangolin scales. This was not merely a substantial quantity of scales, it marked the largest confiscation of illicit pangolin byproducts ever carried out by Chinese authorities. Specialists speculated that these scales were sourced from an estimated 30,000 pangolins. The investigators were determined to apprehend the individuals accountable for this crime and preempt any further harm. Pangolins, creatures resembling armadillos, are the most trafficked animals worldwide. Their vulnerability to poaching and smuggling has pushed them to the brink of extinction. The discovery of numerous pangolin scales within these shipping containers signaled a grave concern. When threatened, pangolins tend to curl into protective balls, making them susceptible to traffickers. The motivation behind their frequent smuggling, as well as the high value placed on their scales, raises questions. The motivation could stem from their role in traditional Chinese medicine, where despite a lack of scientific validation, many individuals in China believe that consuming pangolin scales can treat various ailments, including asthma, arthritis, and even cancer. It is often regarded as a miraculous remedy. Certain individuals hold the belief that consuming pangolin meat can possess healing properties. However, this unlawful act could lead to a decade of imprisonment. Despite the protection afforded to pangolins by the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, criminals continue to recklessly diminish their populations. Regrettably, investigators handling the case involving these shipping crates faced limited leads to identify the culprits behind the operation. The sole piece of available information was the name XAAXEGUA noted on the shipping documents. This scarcity of leads caused concerns about the prospects of finding other avenues for investigation. To bolster their efforts, the investigators enlisted the assistance of a specialized team dedicated to dismantling smuggling networks. These experts determined the African origin of the pangolin scales. Leveraging the shipment's name and its origin, they managed to narrow down the list of potential suspects. Initially, the list of suspects was extensive, prompting investigators to diligently examine each lead. This process resulted in the elimination of numerous possible culprits, ultimately leading to the apprehension of two individuals named He and Lai. Lai was a known smuggler who had successfully eluded capture for an extended period. Despite photographic evidence of the scales being found on his mobile phone, he adamantly denied any involvement, attributing it to his purchase of a second-hand phone. Initially, investigators believed that Lai had placed them in a difficult situation. If he could substantiate the second-hand phone claim, detaining him without further evidence of his participation in the crime would be challenging. However, despite Lai's proficiency in criminal activities, he made a critical error. A photograph of the scales inadvertently included an image of his foot, which bore a distinctive mole. Upon comparing the feet and recognizing the similarity, investigators acquired the conclusive evidence of his involvement. Further investigation revealed that Lai and he had maintained a partnership for a considerable duration, amassing a remarkable $758,000 through their collaborative endeavors. Lai managed the transportation of the illicit product, while he oversaw its distribution. Upon their arrest, details of the criminals and their operations were relayed to the General Administration of Customs. Although Lai and he were undoubtedly collaborating, the extent of involvement of other illicit operators remained uncertain. Despite earnest conservation efforts, they are still insufficient. The International Fund for Animal Welfare emphasized, more needs to be done so we don't see pangolins go extinct within our lifetime. One can only hope that substantial changes are implemented sooner rather than later. While this commendable operation dealt a significant blow to illegal pangolin smuggling, substantial work remained. Collaborative efforts are imperative to ensure the survival of the pangolin species.